Niels, welcome to the Commerce Talks podcast. Today we are talking about the B2B industry, the e-commerce part of the B2B industry, and Carrier.com. Before we are talking about Carrier, please tell the audience who you are and what you are doing at Carrier.
Yeah, good morning, Alex. Really happy to be here and excited to share my insights. I'm relatively new to Carrier. Carrier is a company which has a turnover of about 20 billion US dollars, so it's quite big. Carrier is all around healthy buildings, healthy homes, and the connected cold chain. And I'm working in the business unit commercial refrigeration. Commercial refrigeration is providing cooling solutions for grocery retailers typically, and also for warehouses. So the goods, the frozen or cooled goods that you take your goods out in a supermarket, this could be a Carrier equipment, hopefully. I'm responsible for connectivity. So what does it mean? So in the end, it's about building up digital services, building up IoT services, making sure that we transform the business from a pure hardware business as it was in the past, into the future, combining hard and software in a meaningful way. So we are the market leader in Europe, one of the big ones. So there is just a few bigger companies, but there is many smaller companies around in this market.
Okay, before we are talking about the IoT and smartness part of the refrigerating solutions in the supermarkets, let's talk about like the e-commerce smartness of Carrier. So I assume this is a business where e-commerce did not have a big part in the past. So if I was a procurement guy from a supermarket chain, most likely I knew somebody from Carrier who I called when there's like a new supermarket, a new refrigerator infrastructure to be built. Is it still the case today, or is there really like online demand for such complex solutions?
Yeah. So you're exactly describing the reality. So this is how it works today. So today it's really a business where there is a lot of manual work involved. So typically the grocery retailers, they send out an RFP. There is a bidding process. So this is very traditional, I would say. But we definitely see that there is some movement in the market. We see that everybody is also working on efficiency. So we see that e-commerce is coming. And this is also one of the topics where I think that we should drive. There will be definitely complex projects, because typically if you build a completely new supermarket, or if you do the refurbishment of a major supermarket, it's an investment that will be a couple of €100,000 or even a seven-digit euro amount. And in those cases, it's typically it's a project. So probably also in the future, this will not be a 3-click purchasing process. But there is definitely equipment, spare parts, accessories, where it's very, very likely that this will come. And this is also expected. I mean, also our customers, everybody is using e-commerce in private life. So people, of course, step by step also expect that the processes are digitalized in this B2B environment. But today, the industry is quite traditional, I would say.
Okay, let's start maybe with the supermarkets, and then we can go into warehouses and private homes. My perception from a supermarket is that there's more and more refrigerating solutions in the supermarkets. So if we have like a 1,000 square foot supermarket, about like 20% of all the aisles are refrigerator based, which wasn't the case like 10 years ago. Is it only my perception, or is it something we are seeing?
No, that's definitely what we see in the market. And I think the most obvious example is the discounters. So the discounters in the past, they didn't have frozen goods, for example. And this really changed. And so we see that there is a lot of expansion on frozen or refrigerated goods. This also comes with the convenience trend because, today, and especially also in COVID times, it's very convenient to have some prepackaged food or a soup or something like that, which is cooled. This is also one of the reasons why the cooled space is increasing. We see also that for vegetables and to some extent also fruits, this is coming more and more, especially also in countries where it's a little bit warmer. We see the trend that this is expanding. So you're fully right. Your observation is correct. The market has really been expanding over the last couple of years.
in a normal supermarket, and I know there is no normal supermarket, but in a normal mid-sized supermarket in Central Europe, how much of the space are occupied by refrigerating solutions?
So that I cannot tell you the space, but I know. So we measure in meters, and depending on the size of the supermarket, so this could be anything between let's say 15 and 50 meters of cooled goods in an average environment. I mean, it makes a difference if you have a smaller sized city center supermarket, or if you have a hypermarket that is somewhere outside the city. So you have a big difference, of course. I mean, the bigger, the more cooled space, but it's a visible part of the store, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, there was always like the complaint about like cooled products needs more energy. It's much cheaper to store like non-cooled products or convenience products in the standard shelf, which actually have like a much better shelf time. And though actually the podcast that will air like before this one is from Tetra Pak, and one of their pitches obviously is you can use those Tetra Paks in a non-cooled environment, which usually is connected with a much higher shelf life. So instead of like 1 week, it can stay there like for 2 or 3 weeks. I totally understand like the convenience factor and the freshness factor, because like cooled products seem to be like fresher than the products that are not cooled. But what's the total trade-off? Like from a carrier perspective, though, how would you react on this kind of sustainability, energy consumption issue?
Yeah, I mean, energy consumption is definitely, it's a big topic, because typically more than half of the energy consumption in a supermarket is just based on the cooling system. So it's definitely relevant, and especially those days where sustainability is very relevant, and also where electricity prices are of high relevance. This is one of our utmost focus topics, to really making sure to reduce the energy consumptions. And we are working hard on that, and there has happened a lot already in the last couple of years, and there is more to come. So we consider this as an absolute necessity to reduce the electricity consumption, but we also see that everyday's life of people leads to an expansion of the cooled goods. So the expectation towards food, the freshness, and maybe also ensuring the freshness from farm to fork, if you will, this is increasing. So we see this trend, and it's not that easy. Also, you don't want to educate the customers. I mean, this is a discussion always. How is it possible to somehow educate the customers to change the behavior? It's not that easy. We see that in other industries. So how long it took with electric vehicles, for example. So if the government decides something, it takes time to somehow change the market. So I don't think that the cooled goods section will be shrinking. It's more on us to improve the energy efficiency, to make sure that the impact is lower.
What is the progress on the energy consumption side? So same device like 10 years or 20 years ago versus today is like minus 50%, minus 70%, minus 20%?
It's definitely a relevant double-digit improvement. It's not 50%, and we are working on that. So that's a continuous process. So I think this process will not come to an end short term. So there will be there will be significant progress will be possible in the next couple of years still. Yeah. So I think there is other industries where this happened, where the pressure was maybe also higher in the past. And so I see a great potential here. And what we also can do, and this is also one of the aspects where I think digital can really help, we can also help to do load management, for example. So to really make sure in those cases where, for example, there is a high load in the system currently, maybe you have the opportunity to shift the power consumption. Defrosting, in our case, is a process that consumes energy, and you can manage this a little bit. So this does not need to happen at a specific time. You could say, okay, we do this in times where maybe electricity is there because the sun is shining outside, because wind energy production is high. And this is what we can do. So it's reducing the energy on the one hand side, but it's also it's also doing load management. So that's where I think there is great potential that can be leveraged.
Is this leading to the fact that modern supermarkets are building solar panels on their roof?
Yeah. So that's definitely an aspect, and that will help us. So if this is really expanding, it's much easier to do a local optimization, of course, and it's also necessary to do more energy management on the store level, because we are also expecting that the electric vehicle charging will increase on the supermarket side. So you have a completely different energy production and consumption pattern in the future, where we can play an integral role to really make this feasible and use the knowledge, the system know-how that we have in a meaningful way to make that happen, to make the transition to a more sustainable world possible here.
And you are working in an area where you try to make the solutions smarter. So what vectors do we have like in making them smarter? So one vector you just told me about, though the time when this defrosting happens could be shifted to, like, I don't know, lunchtime when the sun is shining brightest and produces most of the power through solar panels. What other smartness features can be built into those solutions?
So there is one area, this is an area that we are using already for a couple of years. So this is not a new topic. So about a third of the stores that we have equipped with our equipment are connected already today, but maybe in a relatively basic way. And this is coming from alarm management. Because it's really essential if something happens to the system for whatever reason, that it is known. So in the past, it was like, okay, there was a red light flashing maybe in the store, and then someone needed to take action. Today, in those cases where the store is connected, the message is coming through the system. We have a team sitting in Prague, and they are working with the data. So there is some basic automation is already running also today. And in those cases where the system cannot decide itself, colleagues on site in Prague, they will take a decision saying, okay, what do we need to do? Is it about calling the store manager to check, I don't know, if the door of the cold room is open, as an example. So this is a technology that has been used in a basic way already, I would say like 15, 20 years ago. This started, and this is really creating value. So it saves time, it improves the process for us and also for our customers. But there is, as I mentioned, at the moment it's relatively basic, and we see great potential coming to a level where this is more automated, where the system itself is in a position to take the right decision, saying, okay, this is probably a false alarm. Because we detect, as I just mentioned, that the door was open, or maybe that there was an overstocking in the system. This would reduce the workload on our side, of course, but also on the customer side, because if the customer, the store manager, who's typically very busy, does not have to care about the cooling, this helps. A second topic where we see also great potential to really do continuous improvement of the equipment. So today, typically, the equipment is installed, and then there are certain set points in the system are defined. And since the environment is changing, and this could be that the temperature is different in wintertime compared to summertime, we also see that from time to time, the goods in the cooling equipment are changing. So you have a different environment from time to time. And it would really help store operations and also energy consumption in the end if you could adapt those processes in a meaningful way, in an automatic way, maybe also by software updates, for example.
But what I read when, especially when we are thinking about like trend presentations on digital fairs, there was always the idea that the refrigerator, not only at home, but especially in the supermarket, becomes like super smart. So the fridge knows how many Tetra packs of milk had been taken off and when it needs to be restocked by the store manager or by the fridge manager, whoever's going to restocking it. And then the fridge might even know when is the time on a day when most of the stock is getting out of the fridge, and therefore like the cooling setup could be managed. So Is this something we see in real life? And let's forget about the Amazon cashless cashless checkouts. Where can we see it, or how far are we advanced in this area?
Yeah, so this is coming, and this is already relatively close, I would say. It's running in some areas. So the good thing is it's much more easy compared to the residential situation. If you look at your fridge at home, it's much more complicated. The fridge at home is typically very crowded. You buy at different retailers. It's not that easy to detect the goods. In a grocery store, it's different because you have a well-defined shelf space typically, and there are systems already available where you can assign a specific product to a specific space in the store, and through measuring the distance, for example, you can see, okay, is it still one package or 5 packages that are available? There is also first solutions available with cameras, so cameras that are mounted on the opposite of the aisle, maybe. But in the future, we will see such sensors also in the equipment. So that's also definitely one of the topics we are looking into. So what does it need? So is it about temperature sensors? Is it about weight sensors? Is it about cameras? Is it about distance measurement? And then in this B2B environment, it's well possible, I think, to do that. And there is also different aspects. So on the one hand side, it's restocking, and out of stock management is a really crucial topic in retail. And it's also, for example, for the manufacturers of the products, it's very interesting to know, for example, if there is a promotion, has the promotion been executed in the right way? Was during the promotion the restocking, was it done as it was agreed? So there is different entities that are somehow really interested. So I expect this to be broadly available in the next couple of years. In the residential area, I think this will take much, much more time. So that's a good thing.
I totally get it. But let's go back to the supermarket like org chart. And I'm pretty sure you can sell this idea to the marketing manager in order to so he gets like better data for his campaigns. So it's like the butter campaign or the milk campaign in a specific area. Is it working well or is it not working well? And maybe even this data is better than the data he's getting out of the cash register system, because that's another source of data. But the procurement guy usually buying those products is not so much connected to the marketing guy, because his interest is not top line. So it's not about like creating more revenue or being more efficient. His only focus is like getting a better price from carrier. So do you see those things come together in more modern supermarket, or do I have a wrong assessment?
No, I think your assessment is not completely wrong. So this is definitely one of the challenges, but we see that those topics are somehow coming on top of the agenda also in higher management. And that's also, I think, where I see a chance now with the digital, within the digital arena, to really lift this topic out of the pure procurement discussion, where you have a focus on specifications and a price, really to come to a different discussion, a discussion that is more about outcome. So what really matters for the store manager maybe. And the store manager, of course, he is well interested in generating additional turnover. I mean, yes, he wants to reduce cost, but he's very aware that he needs to do something to drive the top line. But it's a process that started, and this is a process where I think digital is somehow being the enabler to drive the transformation, but this will take a couple of years. So I'm very sure this is nothing that you can just switch on and off. It will take some time to elevate those topics to a different level of discussion and combine the store operations, the marketing colleagues, and the purchasing colleagues on our customer side.
Okay, but if I were a supermarket manager, not just a store manager, but a chain manager, then my idea of having smart fridges would be to create data that I can sell to the vendors, to the merchants, to, I don't know, Danone or Nestle, and saying, okay, based on your product USP versus pricing versus where is a product located versus like another product, this is your performance. Super valuable insights. We haven't even seen this in standard shelves, because usually standard shelves are not electrified, I would say, or it's harder to make them smart. Fridge solutions, usually they have like a smart solution already. As you said, they have this kind of alarm, door is open, too long, please go there, close the door. But you say we are still at the very beginnings, right?
Yeah. So in the beginning, so at the moment, what you can see in the market, there is some retrofitting solutions is available, but it's to some extent for the retrofitting, it's also more challenging in the cooled environment, because if you have a battery, that there is a limited lifetime. Also, having millions of batteries out there is also not very sustainable. And this is also why I think we see that we really can add value. But of course, this takes some time because it needs some changes to our hardware. So even if we have the connectivity today for the basic functions, it needs to be further developed, that we really have the cameras integrated, the sensors integrated. And I'm also pretty sure that not all customers will have exactly the same approach. So maybe one customer wants to go with a camera and another customer wants to go with a different camera. So I think the standards somehow need to be figured out. And I think that's also one of the challenges for us, that we need to prepare the hardware in a way that we are flexible, because the life cycle of the equipment is 10 to 15 years. And of course, we need to prepare that we are flexible and we are maybe able to change the sensors from sensor A to sensor B within the production time of 10 years or so.
Okay, and you said that there's like transformation journey now for Carrier, which leads out of this hardware game, which I totally support. But this, if we are thinking this through, then this would lead to a company where you're not selling hardware anymore, but you're selling services. Not maybe only smart services, but the service could be you can lend a fridge, so it's still like you still own it. You just lease it based on how many times per day is a fridge opened, or what is how much power is used per day to cool down products, stuff like this, which you can monitor centrally, and then just exchange the fridge if there's like a better solution available, which could help the procurement department, because they don't need to spend too much money anymore, and you're slightly going into this platform economy play. So that's kind of I assume in your charts the 2030 vision of Carrier, that's somewhere in it. But how much substance is behind that idea?
Yeah. So I think exactly the scenario you are describing, this nicely outlines how an outcome-driven offering could look like. Because I think in this setting, we can really combine the know-how on the hardware, the know-how on the services, on the data, and also the physical service. Don't forget the service technicians that we have in the field. We can really combine that in a way to create a hassle-free atmosphere for the customer. And this could be one of the scenarios. But I'm fully with you, it will take time, because and we've seen that in other industries. It takes time to do that, because it's a complete change of how you work. It's a complete change of how you do purchasing, for example, because it's not about having a specification and then setting a price to the specification. We need to understand what really drives our customers, and how can we create a value proposition that really makes sense in front of the customer. And it shouldn't be just a pure leasing model. I think a pure leasing model is probably not the right thing. So I think combining it with the different services, this is an option. I'm also quite sure that not all customers will immediately buy into that idea, but I can definitely see that there is customers that are interested in such things. But it will take some time. So I think the process, if you start it now, will take a couple of years until this is somehow embraced. And this is also what we see in other industries. So it's not an easy journey, but I think it would really transform us into a new era here. And it would also force us to change internal processes, because if you have such a model, you're somehow forced to rethink the processes and how you work internally as well. And this could really speed up the process, I guess, internally.
Okay, talking about service technicians. So I had a situation, I think, half a year ago in my Rewe supermarket, which is the supermarket close by, where They have like a 3-meter fridge area for ice cream, and this was deactivated for a week. And the store manager told me, yeah, people are opening and closing like too long of a time, and now the fridge is gone. We have to replace it. So he was really annoyed. I was also annoyed because there was no ice cream available. So and as you say, energy consumption is a big issue, and like people really opening and closing, and some people just don't close it. So do you see markets where we have like more of this like automated solution, like the cigarette machines, where you just click on an icon and say, I'd like to have like frozen broccoli, and then the machine sends it to you. So everything is kind of capsulated, which makes it way more energy efficient, and then which definitely could save energy. Is this something which we see somewhere already?
I think not. I don't believe that this will be the dominating solution in a standard grocery supermarket. I think for special occasions it absolutely makes sense. But don't forget, and this is a discussion that we also have with our customers from time to time, if there is a door, or if there is even if it is a vending machine, this is a barrier that maybe limits the process. So I know that some of our customers, they are to some extent hesitant to install doors because if there is a door, the risk is that the customer is not that easily pulling additional things into his shopping bag. And also not to forget, also the restocking of goods is also taking more time. So if there is no door, it's very easy because you can just walk. And this is also this is a discussion that is going on in the market.
I just try to remember if my last supermarket experience where there were no doors in a fridge area that. Yeah.
So discounters, where it's really about having a very high turnover of the products, this is a discussion. But I also believe with the electricity prices and the sustainability targets, this will come. But it hinders the easy shopping process, of course.
So I'm too far ahead already. Like it's like the door is like the latest level of innovation that was implemented. Okay, sorry, I could, and now we have doors that are closing automatically. I saw like this. I don't know what is like in English, like this Schiebetür sliding doors. I think it is. So I see in some supermarkets that are a little bit more efficient. Okay, got it. But are there any innovation supermarkets you have like out there from a carrier perspective as a blueprint, or do you drive innovation together with Amazon with this cashless checkout? Because in an Amazon environment, if I remember correctly, there were like refrigerator solutions implemented, and there must have been this kind of smartness built in this solution. Is this something where you have been involved?
So of course I cannot disclose as soon as they are not public any specific customer projects, but I mean what I think is clear, Amazon, they did a lot on their own. So Amazon, they have a lot of knowledge on the software and also on the sensors, so they somehow built things also on their own to a certain extent. But it's, I think, very interesting to understand how Amazon is doing that, because probably Amazon has the most forward-looking approach towards how a future customer experience could look like. So it's definitely something to look into, and we see also in Germany, for example, that there is also the German grocery retailers. They are also playing with this. So, for example, in Cologne, there was a Rewe opened, I think, last year that shares the same concept. So we see that also the traditional retailers, they are playing with the concept of doing this cashless checkout processes. So we see that, and that's definitely what we are working on. We always try to work together with our customers, trying to understand what are the needs, what drives our customers, and how could the future look like. But what is also visible, of course, I mean, those checkout-less supermarkets, this is probably also not for everybody. At the moment, there is customer groups that are hesitant to do something like that. And there is also still some operational hurdles to do that on a broader scale. You can also see, for example, that the rollout of the Amazon Go or Amazon Fresh stores, that this was not as fast as it was announced. So it's not that
They're
easy.
closed already.
Yeah, some are already closed, but you see that grocery retail, it's a rather complicated process. So it's not that easy to set up those operations and make them to a smooth operation. So this takes some time, and you need significant knowledge to do that. But we are definitely looking into the concepts because this is how parts of the future definitely will look like. And I mean, there's also other aspects that affect us, because if this happens, so if we have a store like this, and if we have also more e-commerce, the store layout will change maybe. So the dark part of the store will be much bigger in the future. So this will have an impact also on our products and also the digital part. So that's also something that we need to keep in the back of our head, that the concepts may change the entire setup of the supermarket and also the entire setup of the industry to a certain extent.
Okay, and as you are the expert in this field, what will change in my domestic environment? So, is there going to be like more smartness in the fridge? I think the latest innovation that convinced the market was was ice cube production in the fridge, which is like a new thing in Europe. I think it was standard in the US, but in Europe it's a new thing. Nobody had water supply. It's a fridge, but there's no smart thing in the fridge. So I think it's more energy efficient now. But if I think about all the new delivery options with Picnic and Knusper, and it's not even close to what was sold to the consumers a couple of years ago. I think in the Netherlands there was kind of an Albert Heijn solution where they kind of restocked the fridge from the outside. I'm not sure if this is still a thing, but it feels like future is far away in my home. What do you think here?
Yeah, I mean, the future takes definitely longer than some people expected. No, so I'm fully with you. It's a complicated process, and as mentioned in the beginning, we see that some parts of the process are rather complicated, like in a residential environment, for example, this image detection, understanding what is in the fridge. It's a rather complicated process. So I think what may come in the future, and this goes then maybe B2B2C, is that what we call the cold chain topic, maybe since people are more or want to be more aware of what they are eating and if the food is good or not, that you maybe in the future will be in a position to understand, okay, where exactly has this food been coming from? How was the transportation? Was everything fine? Was the temperature okay? And so on. And this could also, of course, make it to your fridge. So you may see an end-to-end story here, but this is also a topic that will take a longer time. So I'm fully with you. I think it takes time. On the residential side, in the fridges, the camera in the fridge, this was one of the innovations, but it's still comparably small. So this did not make it to a large scale share of the market. So it has not been adopted because it's quite expensive so far, and also because the services around it are not, they are not easy and they are not precise at the moment. So this is maybe an invest in the future. I'm sure it will come, but it takes way longer than many people expected in the very beginning.
Okay, fast forward to 2025. What can we expect? Doors in a fridge solution at discounters, I hope. But what else will be there in our daily grocery journey?
Yeah. So I think what I'm also convinced what will change, there will be more interaction in the store. So I can also imagine that in the future, maybe as you just mentioned, you have sliding doors to make it convenient for customers to take in, to pull in certain goods. I think there will be some interaction. Maybe you have screens instead of just glass doors. This could be an option to do promotions, to pinpoint customers to a specific promotion maybe. Of course, you could also do that in a personalized way. And this was maybe not possible in the past, but nowadays where most grocery retailers have an own app, it could be also feasible to do that in a personalized way. Saying, okay, you are walking by and then you get the recommendation, hey, there is a special promotion just for you, Alex, on pizza or whatsoever.
I've just thought about this. So based on your buying journey, you will get like a 20% discount on your next 50 pizzas. So
exactly.
that could be an annoying thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is something I could imagine also as a if you will, as a next step, so that there is an interaction somehow, and that this can be also used to reflect on the cold chain that I just mentioned. If people are interested to really understand, okay, what about the product? So what should I know about the product, where it's coming from, and how maybe the logistics process went over the last couple of years.
And like going back to like the supermarket perspective, so like you said, it's an investment, a couple of 100K to maybe even like $1 million or even more. So compared to the overall investment of like a supermarket, let's say the building is there, is it a major part from an investment point of view, the refrigerating solutions?
Yeah, that's definitely the case. So that's definitely the biggest investment. And it's not only the cabinets that you see in the store. So there is typically also we call it rack. So the system where the cold is produced. Typically, you do not see that as a customer. So it's maybe on the roof, or it's somewhere in the garage, or at the back of the building. And this is why it's really an essential part of the investment if you do a new build. And if you do a renovation, it's also the largest share typically. Yeah.
Though this system is not built in like in my home fridge. It's somewhere. It's an external device more or less on the roof that is producing the cold.
Typically that's the case. I mean, there is some other solutions. We call that plug-in. So that's typically the solutions that you find in front of the cashier, where maybe the ice cream for the kids is easily accessible. So those are not connected. They work like a standard fridge at home. But most of the cabinets that you see in the store are connected to a central cooling system. Yeah.
So then I would expect, like from my Rewe supermarket, rather innovations in 2030. Really looking forward to the tailored solution on the screen in front of the ice cream.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that as well. Yeah. At some point you need to dream a little bit, have a vision, and we know that not everything will be available maybe.
but there's like what the interesting thing in your market is, so it's still, the question is still open, or the answer to the question is still open. Who owns the data? Could be you, could be Carrier, could be the Rewe supermarket, and it really depends who is a little bit more progressive in this platform play, who owns the data like in 10 years, or could be the one who is like providing the main shopping app or discount app for a supermarket. So it's still a hot topic to be in. It's actually a cool topic if you look a bit closer. But this was super interesting, Niels. Thank you for your time, and we definitely have to follow up on your own e-commerce capabilities.
Yes, we'll do that. Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed the session. Thank you.